Good morning. It's Thursday in Manhattan. Here with Jason Hilders. I'm Jared Wassinger. We're going to follow up a little bit with the Aggieville Community Vision public meeting that was last night, Jason, at 5:30. It was in the We Fall Pavilion in City Park. You guys put up a lot of concepts from the design that we're working on in Aggieville, the parking garage, some of the streetscape phases. So what we wanted to do today was show you guys those concepts. And then, of course, feel free to ask any questions in the comments section. But we're going to go through a lot of these and then bring them up here on the board and show you.
Yeah, we had a lot of consultants in the room last night. Walker parking consultants were there talking about our parking management plan as well as the design on the parking garage itself. VBN, a local firm, has been helping with the exterior on the garage. So there's some images looking at it from Laramie, from North Manhattan, and even from a Morrow in North Manhattan intersection perspective.
Yep.
We just got a lot of good feedback, but Olson was there as well, talking about a lot of the streetscape.
If anyone wants to see these concepts in high resolution, we got them on our website, cityofmhk.com. You just go to the initiatives tab right here, and then Aggieville Community Vision. And then they're right here from the open house. So you can just click on those and see them. We're going to start out here with this is just an overview of the phases that are currently under design here to kick off the Aggieville Community Vision. Right now, we're looking at Bluemont Avenue. The proposed hotel is going to start construction here pretty soon. And we're also taking a stretch of 12th Street from Bluemont to Morrow. As well, we're looking at the parking garage right here. So we're designing the actual structure of the parking garage as well as adjacent streets. We got Laramie right here. And then North 14th Street. So we're going to kind of jump through each of one of these and zoom in on them a little bit more and talk to you about some of the improvements they're going to go on.
Yeah, on 14th Street, this will be a new intersection at Laramie and 14th. The treatments on the sidewalks then will extend north to Anderson Avenue, so adjacent to the FedEx, Quick Shop, and Burger King area. So we'll come in with a new sidewalk streetscape plan for that area.
And this will be a signalized intersection? Which it currently is today.
Today it is a one-way stop on Laramie. So it's 14th Street is free-flowing through there. So it'll become a signalized intersection where all four corners will have a signal to react to. It'll make it much safer for the pedestrian. There's a lot of accidents that occur at this intersection. It's hard to see down 14th Street as you're on Laramie, but yeah, this will make an improvement there.
When you say signal, do you mean a signal pole, signal light?
Yeah, okay. It'll be lights in the poles will be there, much like you see at Anderson and 14th Street.
So full traffic signal.
Yeah. So here we are on Laramie. We continue down Laramie towards Redina's at the corner there at North Manhattan.
Is right here.
Yeah, and just south of Rally House. So it's the parking lot that the city currently owns today. There's roughly about 80 stalls in that parking lot, and we're going to increase that to a total count of around 450 stalls. We'll go vertical with 5 stories of parking garage, but this highlights the streetscape on the both sides of Laramie. Laramie itself and the sidewalks will be completely removed and replaced with new roadway and new sidewalks. And this is the proposed streetscape plan for Laramie. You can see the trees adjacent to the new parking garage, and then the sidewalks really unencumbered to allow heavy pedestrian flows both east and west.
Looks like there'll also be this pedestrian walkway here in between. And then what we're going to do is X out of here real quick and go to the website to show you some renderings of the parking garage.
So this is a view from Morrow, as if you're looking at Rally House. It's kind of an angled in back to the southwest. You can see the large stairwell that'll run on the northeast side of the building. There's another one on the southwest side of the building. There'll be an elevator adjacent to one of the stairwells. The space along North Manhattan that you see the people walking in front of the building, that's commercial tenant space, about 5,000 square feet of space. So there'll be about 3 bays, roughly about 1,500 to 1,750 per bay. It can all be occupied by one tenant, or it can be occupied by multiple tenants. We have a similar scenario down at 3rd Street and Fort Riley Boulevard in our garage downtown. We have 3 tenants in that space. That's about 3,000 square feet, so this is a little bit bigger than that for comparison purposes. But as Jared mentioned, there is a pedestrian walkway between Rally House and the parking garage, so it'll maintain an alley feel. There'll be ingress and egress points from the garage that you can exit and enter from a pedestrian standpoint at both the northwest and northeast corner. So if you're in the garage and parking, you can easily access Rally House or the shopping center there along Anderson Avenue between 14th and North Manhattan. This is an angle from the intersection of Laramie and North Manhattan, looking back to the northwest. You can start to see space along the Laramie corridor that can be occupied. Right now, we're in talks with RCPD about relocating their substation, which is currently on Morrow Street, to this location. So they would occupy anywhere from 1,200 to 1,500 square feet. There's a total of 4,000 square feet in that area. Police have talked about possibly making the remaining square footage a training center, but a lot of that discussion is yet to really be decided. But concepts-wise, right now, we're getting into some of those components. You can kind of see that here in this layout. The tenant space along North Manhattan is that larger 5,000 to 6,000 square feet. And then the space along Laramie, which a little bit under half is occupied by the current substation for the police. And then, as I mentioned, that proposed training area that further to the west of that along Laramie.
Yep, and as you can see here, the entrance is going to be off of Laramie. If you're heading west, you'll have a right in. And then if you're heading east, there'll be a middle turn lane here that you can come into and access the garage.
And this is a view from the east. So again, from North Manhattan, looking back to the west, you can see that commercial space and Rally House again. There's a south elevation view, and this is basically from Laramie looking north, as we saw in the overhead. West elevation, this is a perspective from the Burger King parking lot. And a lot of that space above the brick on North Manhattan and Laramie side and this side is it's a perforated metal panel that we think we can do some pretty cool things with lighting in the future, or imagery that can be part of an artistic view. It doesn't need to be this blank screen that we're seeing right now. There's lots of different things we can look at in the future. This is kind of a bird's eye view of the area, a concept diagram, giving you reference kind of scale to just how large and how much space this garage will occupy. And clearly there's parking at the top level as well. So now we get into some of the streetscape along Bluemont. You can see a lot more trees and planters on the south side. We'll be replacing that entire stretch of sidewalk. The new hotel, upon its construction completion, will actually have that new sidewalk on the north side along Bluemont, and we'll continue that treatment for the sidewalks as we continue west from the intersection of 12th and Bluemont. We'll hop across the street then, adjacent to the Bluemont Hotel and some of the other commercial tenants they have within their building, and add planters, bring in pavers, a few trees, and some green space. So we're contemplating some additions to that side of the street as well.
So as you look through these designs, Jason, when we're going down the sidewalk and you see the gray, that's basically just a concrete pad that'll connect to this oranger color, which is going to be brick pavers. You'll see some of these planters here, as well as when you see these green squares, that's going to be some plantings with trees possibly planted in them. And then that'll be kind of the same concept that goes down as you come off Bluemont down to 12th Street.
Yeah, we have a couple different concepts on 12th Street. The northern half of the alley is basically adjacent to Stickles and the Aggieville Lounge, and the new hotel on the west side. So there's some concepts that need further clarification, especially in front of the hotel. I know they want some amenities. This is two-way traffic, so we have amenities south of the alley, including planting beds with trees. There's some pockets that allow for seating and some railing and some areas where you could have outdoor dining adjacent to a few neighboring businesses, whether that's Lucha, So Long, or Tanner's that exist today. A lot of the trees are in wells that are trying to be big enough to allow those trees to reach a maturity. If you pay attention to the trees downtown, some of them get really stressed. They're in small planter areas, and they can get really hot in the summer. They are irrigated downtown, but they do reach a max in terms of how tall they can get. Our architects are very sensitive to that. They're trying to give those trees adequate space to grow so they can get to a level where they are casting shade for the area. So some of the areas underneath those trees that you see in this images are occupied by green space, but it's mainly to let those root systems get to a point where the tree reaches a height that everybody desires. Yeah, there's shade included in this. There's a lot of different landscaping and streetscaping, and there's some images to follow here to kind of give you just a feel and examples of what the architects based some of these images on. This is actually a rendering or a concept of that overhead image. This is more at the street level view. So it gives you a view. This is like you're adjacent to So Long and you're looking back to the north towards the alley in Bluemont. Lucha would be off to your right. Tanner's would be right across the street to the left. Do you have a question?
In this picture, and I don't know if the power lines and telephone lines, are there plans to bury those in this area? No, those are going to stay?
There are future plans, just not with this phase. And it gets fairly complicated. The power that serves a lot of the businesses also runs down the alleys. And in order for us to bury right now on 12th Street, we would have to accommodate some of the power that goes down the alleys. For existing businesses, for us to convert all that power, it could cost some of them $10, $20, even $30,000 to make that conversion. So we're kind of waiting until possibly some redevelopment and revitalization takes place on the private sector side. And then we do have a coordinated effort that we're going to try to do to bury overhead power lines. But for this particular concept and this project, the overhead lines will stay on the east side of 12th Street. But you can see there's shade structures, there's trees, there's little landscaping areas with little walls that are knee walls that you can sit on or stand on, outdoor seating areas.
This would be Tanner's right here from this new angle.
Correct. And there is a trench drain down the middle of the street. So the original concepts have a kind of a V design to where the stormwater will run to the middle and go down a drain down the middle of the road. It actually creates more capacity to handle very short bursts of rain more effectively than our crown system that runs into the gutters. It's just more storage area in the street itself. So hopefully that could be further explored. There's a lot in this area and something we're going to have to wrestle around with. There's different times of the day with different user groups, and just to be quite blunt, after 11:30 midnight till 2 or 3 in the morning, there's a different crowd in Aggieville, and some of these structures may be attractive to them from a use and ability to climb around on, and so that kind of infrastructure is going to have to be evaluated, and making this sizable investment, realizing some of it may be used for different purposes by individuals. So we have to be sensitive to that. We've seen it in other areas and it works. It's just a matter of transitioning into this new concept. So this concept takes away one lane of traffic. So it basically makes it a one-way street coming off Bluemont South as you head towards Morrow. And then clearly we've occupied a whole driving lane full of trees and outdoor amenities. It even includes a structure towards the southern end, towards Morrow, that could be a leasable space. It has an enclosed seating area adjacent to it. So anything from coffee bar, lunch menu, dinner, it could be a space that could be leased to a bar or restaurant to occupy outdoor dining at any given time. There's a lot of possibilities there. Obviously, that'll come with an expense, and we'll get into those budgets more at the November 26th City Commission work session. Conceptually, again, images that they based these concepts off are available here for you to look through. And then they do provide some street views as well. So this is that enclosed area adjacent to that structure with some outdoor dining and some trees and different landscaping and streetscape options. And then this hops over to the east side of the roadway, really along So Long and Lucha's side of the street, and looks back towards Tanner's. This is an outdoor kind of playing area. You can see they've got some cornhole, washers, and just different outdoor games. There's the outdoor Jenga. There's there are bars in Manhattan that provide these types of amenities, and at certain times of the year you see they're very popular. So it's just concepts like that could be integrated into these plans.
I believe that's it.
So we had, I would say, somewhere between 75 and 100 people come through last night. All our consultants were set up in stations and received a variety of different feedback. We had businesses there, we had students there, members of the public. It was just a really good cross-section of the community providing feedback and input. Clearly, there's construction going on right now with the hotel. A lot of frustration about Bluemont going to one lane. A little frustration about 12th Street being condensed down, and it will only increase with activity picking up for the hotel. They just really are getting started, probably a 9 to 12 month time period for that hotel to come under construction and be completed. What we're looking at from a design perspective is continuing through the end of the year. We'll have another work session with the governing body in February. They'll need to make some decisions on 12th Street fairly quick because there's a water line on 12th Street that needs replaced. So they'll be in the mix of tearing that up, putting in a new water line, and then we'll really try to take advantage of having the street open and coming back with a finished product for a streetscape on 12th Street. The design for the garage will continue, more than likely start sometime in summer of 2020. But all these projects are part of a total value of about $30 million that we're looking to invest in Aggieville. We think we can pick up close to between a third and a half of those costs with the tax increment finance district, but we do have the 0.3 sales tax out there, part of the question for November 5th ballot that would obviously kick some money to Aggieville and help fund some of these projects to revitalize the district.
Jason, I'm going to share the screen one more time just so folks can kind of understand the extents that we're going to with the Aggieville Community Vision. Right now, these are the phases that we're under design for. But as time progresses, over this next year, we're going to finish design of here and start constructing in 2020. Once we start constructing these areas and the parking garage, then we're going to start moving to other areas of Aggieville, whether it be Triangle Park. Eventually, we'll be talking about Morrow Street and that impact. But, this development can really set the tone for the Aggieville Community Vision.
Multiple phases, as Jared mentioned. If we continue to go every year, we'll be out to 2024 and 2025 with projects. Some of these have to be coordinated in a way to where we're not just deterring all traffic to run through Aggieville. So we'll try to get some things done and then start on some others just so we're not totally shutting off the district. There's going to be impacts, and we need to start talking about those, and businesses need to start planning for them. Anytime you rip up the street that's in front of you that serves you and your customers, there are going to be impacts. We've seen them downtown. We've seen them in other places in the community. I think there's a better opportunity in Aggieville. You've got 30,000 people that live within a mile and a quarter of this area, and these residents do walk to Aggieville. And most of the places in Aggieville are destinations that you can't just literally pull up in front of. You're usually parking a good 1 or 2 blocks away. So if we take the construction sequencing that we've talked about, we're hoping that parking opportunity will always be within 1 or 2 blocks, especially if we get the garage built and it can start to be utilized for the entire district.
Yeah. So next steps as we wrap up, Jason, November 26th, there's going to be a work session with the City Commission Our consultants are going to come back with maybe some more refined concepts based on discussions with city staff, but also the feedback that we got at the public meeting last night. And then that's where members of the public can come in and give comment about the concepts. And then the city commission is really going to be providing direction to us and our consultants to really move forward with the final design so that we can come back February 2020 and really finalize that and then start bidding these things out for construction in 2020.
Yeah, in February we'll have a new commission with a couple new members at least. Be bringing them up to speed and making sure we get their input and feedback too.
Just and I know we have some time considerations, but can you talk kind of quickly about why the city is undertaking some projects in Aggieville and what the benefit to the community might be?
Yeah, we have a lot of public infrastructure in Aggieville. A lot of that investment was made back in the 80s, and a lot of it's deteriorating. There is a perspective of just coming back in and fixing what's there. And that's clearly an opportunity that the community may choose to go down. So far, we've been going down this route of actually changing it up a little bit, bringing in new elements, looking at the different ways of travel patterns and on-street parking. The garage itself is a huge catalyst that'll give not only the public infrastructure relief in terms of its use today, but also the private sector will have an opportunity. You're taking available parking stalls today of 500 and you're going to a total value of over 900. That'll give private investors an opportunity to look at a new dynamic in an area that has been fairly stressed for quite some time. Even back to our 2000 Manhattan Area Transportation Study, it showed over 300 to 500 stalls they were deficient just to serve the commercial space they had at that time. It was 20 years ago. And here we are, even more of a deficiency based on what retailers, commercial space, office space needs to serve their needs from a parking standpoint. So the infrastructure is aging. We need to get back in there and reinvest and revitalize what we have. But it's also an opportunity to look and explore what do we want Aggieville to be in 10, 20, 30 years? Because the investments and the decisions we're making today, more than likely, won't be revisited for another 40 or 50 years.
So what's the hope that Aggieville will become if?
So the website that Jared brought up has a tremendous amount of information. There are videos that show the vision. There are surveys that have been done throughout the community on 2 different occasions, just trying to get feedback. So we've taken a lot of the input and the feedback we've received since 2016, 2017, and 2018. And it's really reached a point now where we're at decision-making time. And our architects and our engineers and our consultants have done a really good job bringing all that input and feedback to these concepts to let our community and our governing body react.
I think a good example of kind of what the vision is of the community is if most people are familiar with where Burger King is in Aggieville, across the street, there's a developer who wants to, they've gone through the city commission process to change the zoning, build a 3 to 4 story structure that would serve a mixed use of office and residential. If you do that multiple times throughout the district, you can bring in, more people, more jobs, but then again, you also need places for them to go. So putting in the parking infrastructure and the other pedestrian infrastructure to move all of those people in and out. Maybe the plan is essentially said that the existing infrastructure can't really serve that type of development in the long term.
There's a little bit of perspective here that I think we should offer. Downtown redevelopment, we really went out in front of that, bought property, cleared property, then brought retail in. Aggieville has been somewhat interesting to look at the Bluemont development, a $12 million Bluemont hotel, a $12 to $14 million Marriott by Courtyard. The investment is happening. There's interest. There's the commercial space, the retail, the office. The pressure is coming, and we're a little bit behind. Most communities really try to invest in that public infrastructure and then attract, and we're kind of reacting and catching up. But we're also positioning the district for that future development moving forward, which feeds right into the tax increment finance plan. That hotel at 12th and Bluemont alone will generate $5 million over the next 20 years for the TIF. And we forecasted anywhere from 15 to 20 in the total 20-year period for the entire district. So some of these other projects are very exciting and can actually enhance our TIF district revenues to help pay for a lot of these public infrastructure improvements.
And again, with that tax increment financing district that we established, over time as property valuation increases in that district, the incremental revenue from those property tax revenues are going to be funneled back into the district with that $15 to $20 million you were talking about to help pay for these improvements. And then the 0.3 sales tax is going to be dedicated to help, finalize that gap and finish that gap to really, fully implement these solutions that we're talking about.
20 years ago, Aggieville had a total value of $20 million. Today, that value is $60 million. In the next 20 years, the consultant we hired looked at it, and I believe fairly conservatively estimated it'd be worth $120 million after the 20-year period. So there's an opportunity there. We feel like that demand is reaching the district. We make the improvements, we make the investments, and there is a little bit of a risk associated with that, but we anticipate that investment privately will come along. I think it's already shown it started. We just hope it continues down Bluemont, Laramie, Morrow, and all across streets.
Well, thanks, Jason. Please feel free to continue to ask questions in the comments section, and we'll try and answer those as quickly as we can. But with that, thank you, and we'll see you on Monday. Vivian, you got anything else?
Just one more thing on that Aggieville Community Vision page. There is a forum link and an opportunity for people to leave comments and see comments that others have left. It does ask you to create a login, so we know that you're an actual person.
So here's the Aggieville Community Vision page. And then where is it at?
That first one, share your ideas using the Community Voice
Perfect.
Forum.
Okay, so you click on that, and then you can provide that feedback to city staff.
Mhm.
All right. Well, thanks, everyone. Have a great week. We'll see you Monday.